Hello. In this video, we'll be solving some interesting problems. So this is the first question. It says, if m and n are solution of the equation x bracket x minus 3 equals to 3 bracket x plus 4, we want to find the value of 1 over m plus 1 over n. So here, the first thing to do is to identify what type of equation are we dealing with here. And this we can simply uh, get this by expanding what we have here to have x squared minus 3x equals to 3x plus a 12. So we move everything to the left hand side so that we have this minus 12 is equals to 0. So we'll get x squared minus what? 6x minus 12 is equals to 0. Now clearly this is a quadratic equation, and we can try to solve, to find the roots of this quadratic equation, and that will be the m and the n. But if you look at this expression, this equation here, you realize that there are no factors. You can get two factors that will give us what? Minus 12. When you multiply, and when you add, you get minus 6. So, but there's a smarter way to do this problem. Let's work with this one. What do we need actually? We need 1 over m plus 1 over n. And this, you can take the LCD as mn, and this will become n plus m. But what does n plus m represent? It represents the sum of the solution, and m times n represent the product of the solutions. Now, but what do we know about quadratic equation? We know that the sum of quadratic equation, m plus n, the sum of the solution is given by what? The formula minus b over a, while the product is given by the formula m n is given by c over a. So all we need to do is to come back to this equation and identify what is a. A is usually the coefficient of x squared, which is 1. B is the coefficient of x, which is minus 6. And c is your constant term, which is minus 12. So here it means we will have minus 6 over 1. And this will just give us 6. And here for the product, which is c over a, it will just be minus 12 over 1, which is minus 12. Now coming back here, it means that this is equals to n plus m, which is the same thing as m plus n, is just 6. And here we have m times n, which is minus 12. And this is simply minus 1 over 2. So it means that we have 1 over m plus 1 over n is equals to minus 1 over 2. And we're done. Now, let's move to the second question. The second question is this. If the equation 2x squared equals to 4 root 3x is written in the form x plus a square, x plus a all square equals to b, what is the value of a square plus b? Now, if we look at this, so this tells us that what we're trying to write this in kind of a perfect square. So this equation is still quadratic. So we can rewrite this as 2x squared minus 4 root of 3x equals to 0. So in completing the square method, one thing we always make sure is that the coefficient of what? Of x squared should be what? 1. So therefore, we can divide by 2 so that we have x squared, 4 divided by 2, so you have 2 root 3x then 0 divided by 2, which is still 0. Then we can apply the completing the square method here. Now we look at, how do we do that? We look at the coefficient of x, which is minus 2 root 3. Then so you have minus 2 root 3. What is the half of that coefficient? Divide by 2. So it's just going to be minus root 3. So this will be x squared minus 2 root 3x. Then we're going to add the half of the coefficient of this, which is minus root 3, but the square of it. So we add it to both sides of the equation. So we also add it here, the square of it. Now, the whole of this is the same thing as what? X, whatever you have in here, minus root 3 all square. It's equals to y, the right hand side is what? It's just going to be minus will go, so root 3 squared. This is just 3. Okay. Now, and if you try to expand this, x minus root 3 all square, definitely you will come back here because we have x minus root 3 square. This is simply what? This is simply is the same thing as x times root 3, x minus what? Root 3. So this times this is give you x squared. X times this will give you minus root 3x. Minus root 3 times this is another minus root 3x. Then we have minus root 3 times minus root 3, which will be plus root of, root of 9. And now this becomes what? X squared minus 2 root 3x, then plus what? Just plus 3. Okay. And which is the same thing as this one, because minus here will become plus. Root 3 squared is just 3. So we're fine. Now, but look at our target. Our target is for us to write this equation in this way. So you see what we have between x and a is what? Is plus. So we can rewrite this as what? We can rewrite this as x minus, then we can write this as minus root 3. Oh, better still, we can just write it as plus, then what? Minus root 3. That's fine. All what? All square. It's equals to what? It's equals to 3. Now, this is to help us identify what is our A and what is our B. So it means that A here is nothing but minus root of what? Root of 3. And B is just the right hand side, which is what? Which is 3. But the goal is to find what is A squared. So A squared plus B is nothing but minus 3 all what? Squared plus B, which is 3. And this is equals to, this will just give us what? 3 plus 3, and this is 6. So we're done. This is A squared plus B is equals to 6. All right, so let's move to the next question, which is question number 3. Question number 3 is about complex numbers. We have a complex number z, which is I, giving us I to power 23 minus I root 2, then root of minus 32. Then we divide it by the cube root of minus 8, then minus the root of minus 9. But I here, we know it's the square root of minus 1. So what is the question is that we should find the sum of the real part and the what? And the imaginary part of the complex conjugate, z bar. So this question is testing a lot of things, how you understand the operations of complex numbers. It means addition, multiplication, and even also division. And also how do you understand the powers of an imaginary number, Do you know what we mean by complex, the conjugate? So all of this, we will use all this concept, we will use them for this question. So let's go ahead. Now, what is z is equals to? This is I to power 23. But what do we know? We know that if you want to find I to power n for whatever integer, this is the same thing as what? I to power what? R, where R is the what? Is the remainder when we divide what? N by what? By 4. Because we know that what? I to power 4, which is I square times I square, is minus 1 times minus 1, which is always 1. So if we want to find I to power 23, all you need to do, divide 23 by 4. And if you divide 23 by 4, it will enter how many times? 5 times. And there will be a remainder of 3. So this I to power 23 is the same thing as I to power 3, which is the remainder when you divide 23 by 4. Then minus, here it's fine, so I root 2. Then this one is going to be 32 root of 32i. Then we divide by, this is cube root of minus 8. So this is not a complex number. The cube root of minus 8 is minus 2. So we have minus 2. Then minus, this is going to be the what? The square root of 9. But there will be an I outside. It's a complex number. So here we can continue. So, but what is I cube? I cube is the same thing as what? I cube is the same thing as I squared times I. But I square is minus 1. So you have minus I. So this is minus I. And here, this will be minus. If you look at this, this is I times I. So this is I square. And this you can combine it. This will be the square root of what? 64. Then you divide by minus 2. Then this will become minus 3i. So z is equals to, this is minus I, but this is I square. I square is the same thing as what? Minus 1. As you can see here, I is root of minus 1, so I square is minus 1. So this means here becomes plus. Root of 64 is 8. Then divide by minus 2 minus what? 3i. So now you can see we're now dividing complex number. So this is a complex number divided by a complex number. So now we need to what? We need to rationalize. And we rationalize with the conjugate of this, of the denominator. So which is minus 2 plus what? 3i over minus 2 plus 3i. Okay, so this is plus here as well. Now, this is simply minus I plus 8 into minus 2 plus 3i. Divide by minus 2 minus 3i multiply by minus 2 plus 3i. Now, this is multiplication now. So this is I minus I times minus 2 becomes 2i. Minus I times this will be minus, but this is 3i square. Then 8 times this is minus 16. Then 8 times 3i, and this will give us plus 24i. Now, if you look at the denominator, is a difference of 2 squares. So this is just minus 2 square. Then minus what? 3i all what? All square. Okay. Now, this is equals to what? This is a 2i. This will become plus 3 because I square is minus 1. And this is minus 16 plus 24i divide by, here it's simply going to be 4. This is I square, so this will be plus what? 3 square is 9, I square is minus 1. So this becomes what? Plus 9. Why? 3 square is 9, I square is minus 1. So here becomes plus. So this is now 3 minus 16 will give us minus 13. 2i plus 24i will give us plus what? 26i. Then we are dividing by 13. And this we can write easily as 13 over 13 plus 26 over 13i. All right. Now we're still working with z. Okay. So what is z? It means the z is what? When you divide this, what do we get? We'll get minus 1 plus what? Plus 2i. So, but we are interested from the question. The question is interested in what? Let's go look at it again. It's interested in z bar, which is the conjugate. So it means we need to find the conjugate. So z bar is going to be minus 1 minus what? Minus 2i. So we're done. Then we find the real part. So what is the real part now? The real part is of the conjugate is minus 1. And the imaginary part is what? Is the coefficient of I, which is minus 2. So therefore, the sum is going to be what? The sum of the real part and the imaginary part is minus 1 plus minus 2, which is minus 3. Okay, so then let's go to the last question now. Now, the last question, question number 4. It says we should find the x-intercept of the line that is passing through the point minus 1, k plus 1, and it is perpendicular, very important, to which line? To this line. And here we are told that k is not minus 1. Yes, because if k is minus 1, what will happen? This term will be 0, right? So it means you're going to have 2x equals to minus 4, which will give us a vertical line, right? Okay, now let's see what to do here. So we have like two lines. We have a line, this line, which passes through this point, and we have another line, which is this one. So this is already an equation of lines. So let's start working with this one. So this one is 2x plus what? K plus 1y is equals to minus 4. And we can rewrite this as k plus 1y, it's equals to minus 2x minus 4. And we can divide, since k is not minus 1, so we have minus 2 over k plus 1 all x minus 4 over what? K plus 1. And so it means if we compare it with what? If you compare it with this equation where you have mx plus c, this is the equation of a line when you have a slope and what? And the y-intercept. It means that what? The slope of this line, let's call it what? M2 is equals to what? Minus 2 over what? K plus 1. So now let's say this is the slope of which line? Of this line here. Now, since this particular line, let's call this line, let's say this is L1, and this is the line L2. So the slope of this line is going to be the negative reciprocal of this one. So it means I will say that M1 is simply the negative reciprocal of this is going to be what? Just k plus 1 over what? Over 2. This negative will go because we know that if two lines are perpendicular, the product of their what? The product of their slope must be minus 1. Okay, now we're going to use this what? We will use this slope and what? And this point to find the equation of our line L1. And that we can now use our point slope formula. Remember this one. So with this, we will use this point, which is y minus our y1. We'll take this as x1, and we take this as y1. So this will be um, here. This will be k plus 1, right? And e equals to k plus 1 over 2 into x plus a 1. Yeah, because we have minus 1, so minus minus 1, we have this. Then here, this is the equation of the line actually. And we can, from here, since we are looking for, don't forget, what are we looking for? We are looking for the x-intercept. So how do we find x-intercept? So to find x-intercept, what does it mean? X-intercept implies that what? You just put y is equals to what? 0. So if we put y equals to 0 now, it means here will become 0 minus what? K plus 1. And this is going to be k plus 1 over 2, then x plus 1. So if this is 0, we're fine. So this is just minus k plus 1 is equals to k plus 1 over 2. And we can easily find the value of x. One way we can do this is we can just multiply by 2 here. So you have minus 2 k plus 1 is equals to, here we're left with k plus 1 and what? X plus 1. Now we can divide both sides by k plus 1. Remember, k is not minus 1, so you are not dividing by 0, right? So we can divide both sides by k plus 1, k plus 1. So this will go with this, and this will go with this. So on the left-hand side, we have minus 2, and on the right-hand side, we have x plus 1. So what is x? Minus 2 minus 1 is equals to x. So in other words, x is what? Is minus 3. So it means our x-intercept it's simply what? The point. Remember, x-intercept is going to be minus 3 and y is 0. Okay. Yes, we've completed all the questions from question 1 to 4, and I hope everything is clear. Thank you for watching.